A very lovely good evening. You are still listening to Orbit Radio City. I'm your host. My name is Caroline, and I bring to you another special interview right here in a studio. We do have some lovely guests with us joining us and also visiting Mungu. As you know, we are still celebrating the Kumboka ceremony. We are still in that fine mood. We have special guests in the studio, and we are talking about the United Culture Alliance members. Some of them are here with us in studio, and of course, we are just about to look at some of the national matters, and of course they're here to bring about some of the solutions that they actually have as an alliance. So I encourage you to actually stay tuned to the program. Later on the show, we're actually also going to be opening our phone lines, and so you will be able to actually get interactive with us. Call through, send us messages, and if you have any questions actually for the alliance members, you can also be able to ask them as we have them in the studio, so they'll be able to answer some of the questions that you might possibly have. So looking at our guests in studio this evening, so we do have New Heritage Party President, who is also the Alliance Coordinator. We're talking about Madam Shalaka Teka. We also have the NDC President, Madam Sawai Imboina. She is also the media chairperson for the UKA Alliance. And not only that, we do have Mrs. Akula Skota in studio, who is the legal party president as well as the UKA chairperson. And so these are also going to be having a discussion with right here in studio. Not only that, we are also live on Smart Eagles Facebook page. We are also live on the Patriotic Fund Facebook page, not forgetting the Grindstone TV Facebook page, as well as, of course, Oblique Radio City Facebook page, so you can actually be able to follow our program through from there. But just before we actually get into the program itself, we do have a very special message through a song that I'm going to be playing for you just about now. So please stay tuned to Oblique Radio City. Which means our positions right. Okay, and so that is a special song I actually did mention that is brought to you by the United Kwacha Alliance, the UKA Alliance, and so you have a song for yourself. Right about now, we are about to get into the big interview itself, and like I mentioned, so the UKA Alliance is actually focusing on solutions to some of the problems we're actually facing as a nation, and that is why they are here joining us in the studio. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me this evening, and you are welcome to Mango once again.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.
All right. So, as we're focusing on the solutions that you might have as UKA Alliance and bringing about some of the issues and problems that we have as a nation, we should not forget the fact that today is actually still Komboka ceremony, and of course, we saw quite a lot of people coming through from different parts of the country coming to celebrate with us here in Mongu district. I'm just not sure how you actually found the ceremony yourselves. How was it? How was the day for you today?
No, thank you very much. As you can see, I'm still in the spirit of Komboka. You know, it's a really beautiful, beautiful ceremony. And whenever one comes, I've been to it so many times, but each time it's like it's the first time you're going there. It's such a beautiful ceremony. And everybody enjoyed themselves. I'm sure my colleagues will also be able to mention what they felt about it.
Madam Kateka, how was it for you?
So, this was my first time.
Okay.
I've been here many times to Mongu, and I've always wanted to be here at the time of the Komboka, and I've never ever managed until today. So I was very impressed to see the level of organization, also the spirit that just grips the town, and everybody was so excited. One of the things I must say about Amalozi is how they respect the culture, their culture, and their king, because he is a king. It's just amazing. It was very interesting, and of course, my paramount chief was the guest of honor. So for me, it was a double honor, the fact that I came and also the fact that Mwinelu Bemba was the guest of honor. I think everything went very well. We've just come right now from there, and they were not taking any chances with Zesco, They were not relying on the Zesco line, but they had, that impressed me. I said, wow, the level of detail is amazing.
Everything was well put together.
Absolutely.
Okay, Madam Imboyle, you're not stranger to Mongo, and so how was the Komboka for you this time around?
Oh, it was really good. And before I talk about the experience, she forgot to tell you that she named herself a Lozi name.
Oh,
is it? Yes. What's your Lozi name?
It's a piece of. That's my name. I was given that name not by her, but the ladies that we were standing with. She asked them and said, "What do you think her name should be?" And I was given the name Sepiso, meaning promise. But not Vashi promise. Promise.
Wow.
So she's become the promise.
That's also okay. So how was your experience?
Well, it was really good. But today, it's the first time I've attended the Komboka when the road was complete.
All right.
I just realized that today to say, you know what, the last time I came here, all the time we've come here, we've gone by boat. So it was very strange. We started moving by car, and I was waiting to get to the harbour. and go by boat.
Okay.
Because that point again, I enjoy the people from Lusaka who get scared of the boat and they're like, no, I'm scared of water, I can't go on the boat. So today I didn't experience that.
Okay.
So I was like, there should be an option, even when the road now can go all the way.
You still want to be
I
on the
still
water.
just want to be on the water. Yeah, I think that experience should not be taken away. I think that's the only thing I missed, but it was lovely as always.
Okay, I'm actually just very happy that you all actually had fun at this year's Komboka ceremony. So now getting into our discussion actually, as we are still on the Komboka ceremony, so like you've mentioned, we do have the Litunga as well as the Chimukulu right here as well as he was gracing the ceremony as the guest of honor. So how do you think them being together in one place is going to actually amplify the unity of the Lozis as well as the member people here in the country?
I think that we must applaud our kings. The initiative which was started at Kusefa Pangwenya when the Chitimukulu made the Litunga the guest of honor, I think was the right kind of thing to do, to bring various parts of our country together. And I think that it was only right that the Litunga then also reciprocated by calling his colleague, the Chitimukulu, to come and grace this. And I think they've started something which other chiefs should also start doing. They should start reaching out to their fellow chiefs in different places, their fellow kings in different places, and make them come in. Because I believe that the Chitimukulu came with a delegation of up to 140.
Up to 150 actually.
150 people. So it isn't just a one-on-one. It was a coming together of people. It wasn't just two kings getting together, but people, 150 people. They will go back and they will be telling the people who they live with out there in Bembaland that when we went to Barotseland, this is what we found, this is the way these people are. Equally here in Barotseland, those that have interacted with them will start saying, you know, we met with these Bemba people just like us, they're perfect people and so on. It helps to bring the country together.
Right.
And I'm glad that that was the highlight of this Komboka.
Okay, thank you so much, Madam.
May I add to that?
Please.
A lot of people don't know this, but the Lozi people are originally from Kola, which is where we come from. So I think that the two kings were actually, must have sat down and said, you know what, we've really got to let these people know where they come from. So with the Lozis, what happened is the Makalolo came in from the south and brought their culture. But originally, the Lozis are from the Kola. So you'll find some names. I'm sure you've seen Katongo village just outside, just outside of Mongo as you're going towards Senanga. You've got some names, Chanda, you know. So it's important that, you know, instead of the way we have been looking down on each other, etc., we begin to appreciate each other. I think that we should have more leaders who are uniting us, bringing us to this position of appreciating our cultures and appreciating each other and realizing that those people you think are those people are actually not enemies. They're human beings just like you, you know, just like us. So this is really fantastic.
Okay, awesome. Before we can actually move on to our next point, Madam Muwela, do you have anything to add?
Well, I think they've stressed it all, you know, the importance of these programs, because, you know, a national building agenda is something that a government should always embark on. So it's good that the traditional leaders themselves saw it upon themselves, you know, took it upon themselves to do that. You know, so we should have this kind of an agenda, the social cohesion kind of program. So to me, I think it has been the biggest highlight. From last year when the Litunga was invited, to Pemberland, and now the Chitunkulu coming here. I think it's one of the biggest cohesion programs that the government should actually take upon deliberately to say, how do we also enhance this in other areas? So everything else I think has been said, just apart from that, to say, apart from the traditional leaders, government, when we are having that national building agenda, I think some of the things that we should actually look at and deliberately enhance.
Okay. So at this particular moment, I think we can all agree to say we're on the same point when we say the two leaders actually might bring about something new, which is actually going to unite the country, and also the other 72 tribes that we have right here in Zambia.
May I just add one thing? I think that at this year's Heroes and Unity Awards, the two should be given.
Right?
I agree with that.
Wow. Look into it.
That's really
Oh, yeah.
Okay, but while we're still on this particular point, actually, so we do have some allegations that coming through from other people that are accusing you as politicians actually to have failed to unite the country. Now, let me start with you, Mr. Scotta. You are the chairman of the UKA Alliance, and also you are the president of the Liberal Party. What do you think about such kind of sentiments? What do you have to say to that?
I think that us as politicians must look seriously at those allegations, because I believe that it's a general allegation being made against all politicians.
Yes.
That they are failing to unite the country. You find that we've got politicians who are very greedy, who want to be the only ones and think that they alone know everything. And I think that the United Kwacha Alliance, the very ethos of its coming together is to counter that, is to bring the country together. I mean, when you look at the leaders we have in the United Kwacha Alliance, they are leaders who come from all parts of the country.
Right.
Apart from that, even in terms of gender balancing, we've got, we're not yet at 50% of the members being equally balanced, but we've got a very large fair share number, more than 1/3 being from each gender.
Right.
So we're bringing the country together in that respect. When you look at the age as well, generationally, we've got different generations in the leadership of the United Kwacha Alliance. So even generationally, we're bringing the country together. And I think that we are also bringing the country together in that the nature of our politics is not that of wanting to malign others and to cast aspersions at people, but instead we want to focus on giving solutions.
Right.
And I think that that is something which will help to bring the people together. So in answer to your question, is that the answer of politics now becoming one that brings people together is UKA. That is the answer to that.
Okay, well, yeah, thank you so much for that. Madam Kateka, we have seen so many great things that you have done as a politician and also as president of the New Heritage Party. And so what did you have to say or respond to such kind of allegations coming against you as a politician, saying that, you know, you have actually failed to be part of the movement that actually unites the country?
I think that it's very, very important for us to pay attention to what the people are saying. There's no point of us going in there and, no, I didn't do this. Or, no, there's a reason why people are advancing what they are saying. But then don't forget, we have actually got 54 political parties in this country.
Right.
About over 20 of them are active. Political parties, and you can't expect us all to be the same. We are very, very different. You know, as I've always said before, different people go into politics for different reasons. Now, as United Kwacha Alliance, and even as New Heritage Party, and the reason we've joined the United Kwacha Alliance is because we feel that the time has surely come for us to make a difference. So instead of being divisive, we want to unite the country. Instead of, going out there and doing politics for the sake of doing politics. We would like to see the nation moving from the place where we are. We've got so much abundance as a country, and we believe that with the right thinking, the right type of people, we can actually take this nation forward. Zambians are absolutely tired of the problems that are facing us. They are tired of the hunger, they are tired of being broke, they are tired of every time you go into ShopRite, you are just counting the ngwes. You know what I'm saying? So we are, as United Kwacha Alliance, don't forget the word united, eh?
Right.
That's very key. United Kwacha Alliance is we decided to unite firstly as ourselves, because we don't want to divide the nation. I mean, the political space was so divided, you know, so crowded. So we wanted to make it easier for Zambians to identify with a movement which is United Kwacha Alliance, which will take us to where we want to go. And that talks about bringing different political parties, different tribal groupings, different, as our chair has indicated, age groups and even gender. By the way, all three women that are leading political parties in Zambia are in UKA. And you know women are sensitive, so there must be something right about United Kwacha Alliance.
Okay, great, awesome. Madam Lumela, you're one of the most vocal women politicians that we actually have in the country. You're always speaking your mind, offering solutions to different matters that always come up, in the nation. And so, for an allegation like this coming against you as a politician to say you have actually thought to bring about unity, to the country, how does that make you feel, and what do you have to say in response to that?
Well, first and foremost, as leaders, we lead because people are saying certain things, so we have to lead according to people's aspirations. So when they say that, it's because it's something that they're saying.
Right.
I always say that politics is too serious a thing to leave to politicians, So the real power is in people's hands, And if you look at one of the tenets of democracy, which again I like to talk about so much, is the tenet of participation.
Right.
People talk about accountability, they talk about transparency, when they talk about good governance, but for me, I always run to participation, because democracy is not a spectator sport. If you go to watch, let's say, football in Hero Stadium today, if you're a spectator, you are going to sit in gate D and you're going to be watching, and the footballers will be there on the pitch playing the game. You are just a spectator. But for democracy, it's different. So the tenet of participation says that when you're in that arena watching the game, you're not supposed to be in gate D or whatever it is. You have to be on the pitch playing. So the citizens out there have to participate in the democracy of this country. How do they participate? They participate by talking. How do they participate? When the politicians do wrong things, they're supposed to be there to talk. The truth of the matter is that the tribalism, the regionalism that we have seen in this country over a period of time has been instigated by the politicians. If you go to some of these campaigns, you're going to cry when you see what some people say. I was part of some campaigns right here at some point in Barotseland when I belonged to the UPN. I'm going to give this example because it's a fact. And we had some people, ministers, who were really going so tribal in the campaigns. And I was telling these people, so you know what? I've got member children. I would say that. Of course, my children are member knows it. But I would say, I've got member children. I don't want in the near future, when one of my children wants to be a president of this country, I fail to come here to Western Province or Barotseland. I fail to campaign because of these kinds of campaigns. You get the point? You can't go on like this. So, of course, when somebody is in a certain group and is able to object, people can listen. But how many times do you find people in a group of people who are able to object such kind of campaigns? So you find that all political parties, or let me say most political parties, would be guilty of that. I've given an example of one political party, but trust me, a lot of political parties would go out there and preach a tribal kind of a campaign, a message, are you getting the point? And everybody will take advantage of where they are. Just walk home, mumfunira chani, yo akiwa kwanu, mwingie mtu amina, mweza sikamani, things like that, you know. So when you go on that path, it means that people out there now begin to say, so I can only vote for this person because this party was started by somebody from this province and that province. And that's what it came to be because of politicians. So I do agree with people when they say that. So politicians on that one, we have to sit up and say, what are we doing for the country? So that is why, the chair said and the coordinator, an initiative like UKA is the best way to go. Because all of us said, you know what, this is where our country is. And this is what we want to do. What are we going to do? Let's unite ourselves. And also, UKA came about because of the People's Poet again. Every time would appear on TV, radio, most of us here, people would call in and say, why don't you come together? All the time. You people come together, do this, do that. We say, okay, this is what people want. So people's aspirations to see leaders coming together. Yet again, we went in that direction, and that's how we ended up coming up with the United Party Alliance to unite, first of all, us as leaders, and then the country based on all those things that we talked about.
Okay, great. So now, as we are talking about UKA Alliance, and like I mentioned earlier, so UKA Alliance is an alliance that is actually focusing on change and bringing about solutions to the many other issues that we have actually currently in the country. And so talking about these kind of issues, we have one of the pressing issues, which is climate change. And so I want to ask you, and I'll start with you, Mr. Scotta, on how it has actually affected not only Zambia but other regions as well. And so looking at that, we have the drought situation that earlier this year the president actually did declare as a national emergency. So what was your response to that? And first of all, then what are some of the solutions that you might have provided being in, let's say, an alliance as UKA? What are some of the solutions that you might have actually proposed or you have for the drought situation that we're currently experiencing?
I think that climate change is a reality which is there, and every responsible person should acknowledge that. And even as we make policies, we should have that in mind. Even when we take actions and make decisions, we must always have in mind that you never know what tomorrow is going to be like, what the weather is going to cast to us. And with that in mind, we then have to ensure that the waters that we have in this nation, we're a country which has a really large volume of water that goes through our country, an extremely large volume. But that's exactly what it does. It goes through our country. It ends up in the sea. I mean, right here where we are, you see how much water we have in the Barrow Sea floodplain. That tells you the amount of water we have. But that water doesn't just stay there. It passes on and goes out. During the dry season, all that water is no longer there and it's dry.
Right.
You have also in Luapula, for example, a lot of water which is there. It too just passes through the country. So what you have to do is to take deliberate measures to harness that water so that you are able to irrigate and open up areas for food production. We're a country which has much more water than Ukraine. We're a country which has got much more arable land than Ukraine. And Ukraine, before the war, of course, was producing most of the grain for the world. A country with less water, less arable land than ourselves was able to do that. If Ukraine was able to do that, and we've got more than they have, why can't we also be in that position? It takes planning and commitment. It is something that I remember being on a radio program with my colleague, President Edith Nawako, in Lusaka quite early on this year. And what we talked about was climate change. And we said that, firstly, we have to acknowledge that there's changing weather patterns.
Right.
And secondly, since it's there, we need to declare a disaster about the drought. Thirdly, going forward, we have to ensure that we start having plans for irrigation and so forth. I actually talked about the canals we have here in Barotseland. I said that look at Barotseland. Our ancestors, you know, maybe my great-great-great-great-grandfather and his colleagues, who didn't have mechanical dredgers and diggers and so on, created these canals that we have. These were man-made canals by my great-great-great-great-great-grandfather. Years later, my generation, we're failing to do what our ancestors did with less mechanical tools.
Right.
But that is something that we should be doing. That water in Wapula, create canals which take it to areas which don't have water that need to have irrigation. Same with the waters that we have here and in other places. Those are the kind of things that we have to do, and those are the kind of solutions that as United Kwacha Alliance we look at.
Okay, thank you so much. Madam Kateka, I'm coming to you with the same question. So, looking at the issues that we have of drought right about now, this has been an issue for a lot of people, especially in the Western Province. Most people's crops actually dried up because of the same drought situation, and a lot of people now have complaints of hunger. They're still crying out on what kind of help government can actually extend to them as well. So as UKA Alliance, what kind of solutions would you actually best offer these kind of people that are actually still crying out for this?
Yeah. I think that the issue begins with the way we think as Zambians. And I'm talking about whether we are in government or outside of government. Why is it that as Zambians we seem to fail to plan? We seem to fail to do what we should do and prepare for that rainy day. Drought is not something that is something that's in the air and can't happen. It does happen. That's why the word drought and famine, those things exist. So being cognizant of that, being aware that these things happen, you plan for them. Okay. Now, as my colleague has said, we have a lot of water above ground and underground. Zambia has got about like 45% of fresh water supply in the SADC region, all right? Which means we really don't have an excuse to not do what it is. So when we're talking about planning, we have known that the rain belt has shifted. You get the point. It has shifted from the southern region. It's now over the northern region. I mean, even now, they'll tell you it's raining in certain parts of the country, in the northern part of it. So being aware that the rain falls in certain areas, take advantage of that and take it into your planning and say, we are going to plant, because we must do our planning on a national basis, not just, like a household. Government needs to take the lead on this and lead people in a certain direction. So government being aware of that, they should say Northwestern Province, Copper Belt, parts of Copper Belt, Luapula, Northern and Muchinga, it's raining. So the rain-fed crops should be grown in those areas. So give people an incentive to grow those crops in that area. And then in the other areas, so that those people can feed the whole nation. So if you subsidize the production in those areas, then they'll grow enough to feed the whole country. Now in these other areas where we don't have as much rain, or we don't have rain, there are crops that you can grow, cassava, millet, etc. They don't need much rain. They don't need much water. So also, one of the things that I've noticed about us as Zambia is what I call the Dag Hammarskjöld Stadium syndrome. Now, Dag Hammarskjöld Stadium was in Ndola, and the government decided they were going to demolish it to the ground. This was like 36 years ago. They are going to, and everybody said, no, don't knock it down until we have built another stadium. Why don't you build a stadium elsewhere? We'll continue using this one. It's working. So, oh no, government didn't listen and they knocked it down. Up to today, they've never built it, you know. So we've got this thing of going in, destroying whatever we find, a system or a stadium in this case, you destroy it, and then you fail to replace it with what works. Right. So in this particular case, the previous governments from MMD introduced what is called the Food Reserve Agency, meaning we must keep food just in case we have a drought in future. And maize can be kept for up to 15 years if you keep it well, or 8 to 9 years if you don't keep it that well. Meaning there's no need, if you've been having bumper harvest, there's no need for this nation to go through what we are going through and going on the world stage to ask for money, because we had that. But that the Dag Hammarskjöld Stadium syndrome kicks in and you sell what previous governments introduced. That is something that we need to move away from. So what are we saying as United Kwacha Alliance? Whether it's the Kaunda, the UNIP days, UNIP government, MMD government, PF government, or UPND government that come up with good ideas, take those ideas on board, respect them, and then build on that. And that's what we now need to start doing. And when we do that, we'll find that we are ready for emergencies. Right. Being ready for an emergency is because you prepare for it. So in other words, what we're saying is, let us prepare for any eventuality. Yeah.
Okay, great. I like this point that
before you go to the next question, I just wanted to add on to what my colleague has stated, that because of the changing weather patterns and so on, you may have to start changing what is being grown in certain areas. Like you've seen the rain belt going up north and so on. But at the same time as you're teaching and introducing and encouraging those areas to do that, you look at the other areas to say, now that there isn't that much rain, what can be done? So there are drought resistant crops, so you have to make sure that you start introducing those there. And also there are certain crops that need very little moisture. I mean, cassava, for example, and even Irish potatoes. In fact, Irish potatoes don't like a lot of rain because then you get potato blight and so on. So areas like here in Barotseland, you can then start introducing, having outgrower schemes to help them to get into these new crops. You've got similar kind of conditions around the world. If you go to the Arab countries where they do a lot of dates and so forth, and even Israel, where even oranges and so on, learn from them. Maybe even get experts from there who will then be able to come to areas like Barotseland and introduce that, so that the agriculture doesn't totally die in these areas.
Right. Okay, thank you so much. I'm coming back to you, Madam Kateka, because there's a very nice point that you actually mentioned in explanation earlier as you're talking about the solutions to actually climate change. So what you mentioned was that, you know, leaders in government should be able to actually take ideas even from other leaders and be able to adopt them and use them for good, that is. And we do know for the fact that as opposition party leaders, part of your mandate is actually to offer solutions to government. So my question right now is, are these solutions you are giving us today part of the solutions you've actually offered government? And if you have done so, what has been government's response to your solutions?
So, as opposition, and I will speak on behalf of the opposition, when we offer the checks and balances to government, and particularly as United Kwacha Alliance, we don't just say, yeah, this is what you've done, this is wrong. No, we always say, have you considered this? Could we consider this? Could we look at this alternative? We don't agree with this because it will result in this. So what we should do is this. So we always give alternatives. In some instances, we've written to the government. In some instances, we issue statements, but we do not get any joy. We don't. I think that they want to do things. You know, they had their plans as they were coming into government, and maybe that they want to pursue those plans. So, as opposition, I know that, you know, we keep being told you people are bitter. Even those of us that were not in the previous government are supposed to be bitter, and as a result of that, we are doing more experimentation, unnecessary experimentation. I think the Bible puts it this way: there's nothing new under the sun. So what has been done has been before. So we sometimes we waste time experimenting when you know this is the answer. You know, just do the right thing. So we have been sort of frustrated by the government in that they don't really listen. Yeah, they are intent on following. I'll give you an example.
Right.
We didn't, and now I'll speak as New Heritage Party, because at that time, UKA hadn't been formed. We didn't agree with going to the IMF as the only solution for this country, because look at how long it has taken us to get to a position that is not yet even conclusive. Do you see what I'm saying? We believe that there are other ways that we could have dealt with the debt issue, and also to help the economy, because things, you know, as you know, they said, oh, we didn't find any money, that we are going to the IMF to get help. And we said that route is not going to help us, because the IMF comes with conditionalities that always impose very, very strict requirements on Zambians. For example, you need to take out subsidies from the fuel and the maize, and look at where we are now. People are hungry and they are angry. You know, we should have looked at another homegrown solution for us. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much for that, Madam Kateka. Madam Imbo, I want for getting you on this particular one. So, like I mentioned earlier, you know, you're always vocal, and I like that about you, because you always respond to most of these things that we actually see, especially even on social media. You're always there to actually respond to this, and you're also the chairperson for the UKA media. So, part of these issues or problems that we are actually facing as a country, we see them on social media each and every single day. There's always a new topic being posted. But now, as we are still on the drought situation, of course, brought about by climate change, what are some of the solutions that you, not only as NDC leader, but also part of the UKA Alliance, what are some of the solutions that you're actually offering to us?
Number one, if you look at Jerusalem, right? It's one of the places where the drought is so obvious, because most times when we don't have water, it's always like, are we going to have the Komboka this year or not?
Right.
Exactly. Yeah. So even this year we were doubting if the Komboka is going to be there or not, and thank God it was there. when we reached the place where the king was supposed to come to, I started asking, I was like, I don't know, because I've been here after a long time. How come we're facing this side and not this side? You get the point? Until somebody explains it, no, we're using a different route altogether.
Right.
All the time we normally go this side, but because of the water, now we're going this side. I was like, okay. So here the drought situation is more obvious than in most places, yes. And I think like President Akateka said, some of these things also, it's about planning, okay? She did mention that Zambia does have about 45% of the water bodies in the entire SADC region. But what are we doing with that? South Africa, that does not have enough water, even has a right to water in their constitution. You know, why? Because they want to govern themselves properly. South Africa does have one of the best constitutions in the world. So when you aspire to lead yourselves well as a country, you start to do certain things in a proper way, where even where you fall short, you know, to say you really intend to do this. In the South African Constitution, it's even written how many gallons per month each and every citizen is entitled to. You get the point? South Africa has to even import water from Lesotho for them to have enough water in their country. But look at Zambia, with the over 40% of the water bodies in the entire region, you know. And by the way, knowing the UPND and the kind of deals and contracts that it likes to sign, we need to be very careful and watch them. Because I know that for a very long time, a good number of the Southern African countries have been trying to utilize our water as if they were theirs. So they've been trying to sign this protocol in the region and everything. And the Zambian government, thankfully, has been refusing. So we need to continue on that path. If we are going to surrender our bodies, what exactly are we getting from there? You get the point? So these are issues whereby, apart from the drought situation, apart from the mini meal that everybody is able to see, we need to look at the waters of this country and how they're being utilized. You know, so these are very, very important things that, to me, a government like the UPND that has been having all these contracts and deals, you know, with all these non-disclosure kinds of agreements, I think we really have to be on them to ensure that our waters are protected. And apart from that, apart from the water situation, just the issue of other areas, you know, of let's say agriculture, okay? Let's say fish farming. We've had situations whereby some fishermen have been fishing using mosquito nets, you know. So they don't just catch the big fish, they catch the baby fish as well, you know. So all these things are things that we need to really monitor and ensure that we do the right things. As NDC, we're very, very concerned about the environment, and we do have even a chairperson of the environment in the NDC. There's a man called Mr. Tanganyika Mbulo. And right now, we're supposed to be going around the country in such a way that, apart from talking politics, we talk about environment, you know. And I'm lucky to say that we're one of the political parties that will be meeting also with the President Kateka, who are trained by the Scottish National Party, you know, whereby for them they came here and they said, okay, apart from politics, this is an area that we want to help out some political parties in the country. And we've done a lot of that, you know. We've done a lot of the documents, for example. We do have an environmental policy for the party. Like I said, we do have this chairperson for the environment. And the next thing that the party wants to do, and these are things also that you're bringing to UKA as an alliance, to say, it's not about politics all the time. What is it that we're going to leave for this country? You know, like one African proverb says, we do not inherit the earth from our parents, but we borrow it from our children. So what it basically means is that we need to ensure that we do everything possible that we leave a safe place for the children. So the issues of climate change, most of them are man-made. It's us that cut down trees. I've got two mbuyas. President Scott and I like to have two mbuyas. The Tongas and the Kaundes, right? Well, now the Chitumkulu and the Tonga said now they're new cousins, so we have now the members, right? If you go to Southern Province, they cut trees a lot, okay? So even the drought situation there, you can say that maybe because of the cutting down of trees so much. When we were having this training, we had training with the presidents and the MPs from our parliament, of course. And I remember, it must have been the MP from Budumwezi who said, you know, when we were young and we were looking after cattle, would just get a pick and cut a tree. That's what the boys were doing. And it's only when they grow up and realize, why are we cutting down trees? You get the point? So those mindset kind of programs are things that we need also to change about our societies. We know what people do out there, so you go to them. When I'm in Northwestern Province, Olwezi, Kabumbila, for example, I like to joke with my Tonga Mbuyas there. I talked about the Tongas and the Kawandes. This side, they're not proper rains, but they farm a lot. In Northwestern Province, you find that the farming is not that good, but they've got very good rains. So we have these Tongas that have gone into Northwestern Province, and they're farming a lot. And now almost a lot of people are going to these Tonga places, and they're buying from the food and everything. So I like to joke to say, what is so different about this farm and your farm? Because this man came in from Southern Province. He found the land here, he bought the city. It's just the attitude, you get the point? So these are the things that as a country, as leaders, be it traditional leaders, churches, whatever, we need to really engage our communities to say, this is how we do it. So issues of climate change, issues of behavioral change when it comes to agriculture, when it comes to looking after the environment and things that are around us, are things that we should take an interest in. And even as politicians, now I'm saying that the training, for example, with the Scottish National Party, is in such a way that they're engaging politicians, because they're saying, you talk to the people on almost everything on a daily basis. Why not about this? And I'm happy that a good number of political parties are doing that. And like we're saying also, we're coming up with a joint UKA manifesto. And trust me, issues of the environment are top on the agenda.
Okay, great. That is really, really great. Before we can actually open our phone lines and invite some callers to actually, bring about questions or concerns that they might have. So quickly, I'm going to move on to our next point, and that is our economy. Chairman, I'm going to start with you on that one as well. So how are you currently looking at our economy? And we do know the fact that not too long ago, so the president did appeal to the international community for help on how we can actually go about bringing about solutions to this. But in your own words, how is our economy currently doing?
Definitely our economy is not doing well because people are not able to meet the cost of basic commodities. If you look at the price of mini meal, if you look at the JCTR basic basket for a family of 5, I believe it's 10,000 and something. And when you look at the salaries of people, very few get that. So it means that the majority of people are living below the poverty line. So something certainly needs to be done. If you look at the exchange rate, with that as well, it is not performing the way it should perform. So definitely that means the economy is not doing well. If you look at the number of people who are unemployed, it also shows you that the economy is not doing well. So we need to start looking at what can we do to get a lot more people to have jobs, to get people to have jobs that are worthwhile in terms of the returns that they get, and to basically create a middle class and self-employed small industries and encourage that. We shouldn't be looking at the mines and saying that is what is going to save Zambia. The mines are not going to save Zambia, especially when you look at the kind of taxing system we have. You have them on tax holidays. You have them according to the ZRA chairman, Dr. Fundanga. You have them cooking their books in such a manner that ZRA itself says we cannot manage to actually find out what is the true amount. So obviously the root of the mines is not what is going to help our country. We had earlier on talking about the land we have, the water resource we have. I think that we need to focus more in terms of agriculture. Not just merely producing the grain or basic things, but also go into agro processing of those items. If you're going to be growing peanuts, for example, don't just sell the peanuts. Process them into peanut butter or extract oil from there, so that there is enhancement of those. Apart from the agriculture, you also need to start looking at areas such as the tourism. Right now, we've got some of the best world sites. Everybody wants to see Victoria Falls. We've got game parks, which are brilliant game parks. But what happens is these are advertised outside the country. You get even Hollywood stars and so on coming to Zambia, and you don't hear about it. Once in a while you hear, there was Sylvester Stallone.
Will Smith.
Yeah, once in a while you hear that they were here. And they come through packages which have been bought for outside. They may come in fact, on private jet, and they'll go to these lodges and so on, which then do not bring that money they've paid. That money remains outside. So we need to put in regulations to ensure that we will get the influx of that money coming and staying in Zambia. Those are some of the things that one can do. My colleagues, I'm sure, will be able to expand on that further. But we need to basically we need to diversify our economy and not look at the mines as being the savior. In fact, the mines are not bringing anything to us at the moment. Even the new mines they say they are going to be building, they tell you that we'll only start having years from now. You know, it's not like within the next 2-3 years you'll even see any difference. It's years from now. But people who are suffering under this economy cannot wait until then. We need to do things that can bring immediate relief.
Okay, all right, thank you so much. Madam President, I'm coming to you with this question as well. So we are still talking about our economy, of course, and how you are viewing it. And also, so Mrs. Koto is just telling us to say the mines are actually not the way to really go about this, as they will not really bring much to what we actually need to see. But also there's an issue of the president actually appealing to the international community. Do you think maybe that might be the way as well?
It's demeaning. Sorry, it's very demeaning. If you looked at the figures that the president brought out, he said when it comes to the hunger situation, he said that the total amount that we need to address this his appeal was 12.6 billion kwacha. Okay. But then he said we have a shortfall of 12.54 billion kwacha. Okay, so I hope you got that. We need total amount 12.6 billion. We have a shortfall of 12.54 billion, meaning we have 0.06 billion kwacha. So, in other words, we are saying we need almost 100%. How do you, a responsible parent, go to your neighbor and say, I've got absolutely nothing in my house? Do you see what I mean? It's actually very alarming. And before I go to the economic aspect, I want to say that economic stability for any nation is very important because it leads to security for the country. If you have economic instability, it also leads to an insecure environment. If you remember, maybe you were not there, but if you remember in the 1990s, when we were moving from UNIP into MMD, it was the food riots. People were hungry. They were hungry, they became angry. So you must always ensure that you have food security. And from listening to the president and the figures that he presented, for us it indicates that we have a serious problem, in terms of food security. By the way, we sold 3 years worth of food reserves. We shouldn't be begging for food. We sold 3 years worth, 2019, 2020, 2021 reserves. And then the reason why the reserves were set up in the first place happens the following year, and then you start to ask for, to beg. Okay, I'm being polite. Who does that? You see what I mean? So, and that's why at UKA we are saying it's very important that you have a group of people who sit and they think together and say, should we do this, shouldn't we do that? Two heads are always better than one. So we need, we've now got 11 political parties, and there's no one who is worshipping anybody else. We are there and we challenge each other. When somebody comes up with something, we say, no, this is what we think. I think that's not the way we should be going. So let's get back to the economy. Now, the immediate demand for Zambians is really, they want to see that the cost of living goes down. One of the first things that why the cost of living is so high. I always give an example of this microphone. If this microphone was bought for $100 in Levi Mwanawasa's time, the rate was 3/4 rebased, but $3,800. It was 3.8, okay, rebased. So if I needed to buy $100, it would be 380 kwacha. But now the rate is close to 30, all right? Let's say it is 25. Then this same microphone would be 2,500 kwacha. Now to you, who's earning kwacha, it has moved from 380 to 2,500. So it seems more expensive, even though. Now, don't forget that in Zambia we import almost everything. We import everything. And if the exchange rate is bad, then everything will seem more expensive because our salaries don't go up.
Right.
So one of the things that we have been urging the government to do is to address the issue of the foreign exchange, which of course they try by various interventions. I don't want to go too much into detail, the technical aspect, but suffice to say that you can actually bring the foreign exchange rate down if you start to earn dollars, all right? And you bring it back. Now, our mining sector is the easiest route to help us in that situation if we begin to do the right thing. What happens is when we sell our copper or whatever, we sell it on the London Metal Exchange. And they buy the copper over there, and then they keep the dollars out there. Then here, you are complaining and saying we don't have dollars. You do have dollars. You've just sold copper. Why are you allowing these mining houses to keep the copper out there, the dollars out there? We need to come up with policies to ensure that those people bring their dollars and bank them in our banks. You will see a difference within a very short time. Our dollar rate will come down. The other thing we need to do is the value addition and go into production, export our maize, make sure you grow enough of it before you start exporting it. Don't just export it. So there are things that can be done which we are not doing, which would help for us to bring the price, the cost of living down, which would immediately arrest this. Secondly, sorry, I just want to talk about this. We've got gold mines. Gold is being found. We've got sugilite. All of those things, even the emeralds, even the copper, they're not being done properly. We have to change the model of mining. We have to come up with policies for the gold mines, etc., etc., which will bring value to us. Yeah, I won't go into the detail.
Okay.
Otherwise, it will take too long.
Thank you so much for that. Madam Mba, let me come to you before we can actually open up one month. So we asked you on our economy and of course how you are doing it and how, what sort of best solutions do you think you have to offer?
Okay. Our byline, our motto as NTC is job creation through industrialization. So we do believe in industrialization, like what the chair and the coordinator have said. You know, this thing of selling raw materials won't take us anywhere. If we're able to farm maize, what exactly are we selling out there? You know, so that value addition before we export our goods is very, very important. And also, for us to understand the problems that we are facing as a country, as a continent for that matter, we always have to look at the root problems, you know, the root causes of all the problems that we are having. Some people may not understand or know that at the time that we were getting independence, we were made to sign certain contracts, okay? We are not getting independence to say, okay, Zambia, yeah, right for independence, go ahead and get independence. We had to sign. Amongst the things that a good number of us had to do was to agree to be these so-called mono economies. A country like Zambia, in as much as we could do anything, we depended so much on copper. But after a long period of time, there was need to diversify, and we never did that. We just continued with the same mentality that the colonialists put in us. We continued with that. That is why we find countries like Ghana, for example, which is one of the world's biggest exporters of cocoa, who export cocoa cheaply and buy back chocolates expensively. Right now, you go in shops, you're going to see the Ghana chocolate. Finally, we're awakening. Zambia needs to do the same thing. In terms of copper, we're ever exporting copper. I think Madam Kateka did mention that the way we're doing it in terms of selling is not properly done. When you go to the London Stock Exchange, Metro Exchange, it's not Zambia that determines the prices of copper. It's the Western countries. We just sit back and people are determining what it is that we're supposed to sell our minerals for. That is what almost every African country is suffering from. And the leaders that have come about over a period of time to say, let's change this, they face a lot of resistance, others even death. You get the point? So when we talk about our politics right now and our economies as Africans and as Zambia, we need to dig deeper. You know, and that is why for me, I normally worry when I see an African or Zambian leader align themselves too much to the West. Because it's not about them wanting the best for our countries, because they're getting so much from us. Are you getting the point? We need to know to say, we're supposed to be partners. If it's selling, let's sell things this line. If it's doing this, let's do this in this way. But we have become the new, if I should call colonizers or whatever of our own countries as black-skinned Africans. You get the point? Instead of doing the best for our countries, we're the ones that are ripping our countries so much. So when it comes to the economies, I'll once again say Africa and then Zambia in specific, what is really lacking is the leadership. So we look at things. I'm avoiding to say the things that they say there because I've addressed them very well. So I'm just making an addition to say, apart from this, the other things that we need to look at is also are the policies that we're putting. You know, we look at where we're coming from as Zambia and where we are right now. From 1964 to now, what have we done right and what are we doing wrong? I get the point. And you find that we keep on doing the same mistakes over and over and over again. And if the young people and the leaders that will be coming in now do not change certain things will continue being the same. Because if we don't sort out our politics, our economics, cannot be sorted out. So what is wrong with our politics, for example? We've been locked down as Zambia. Sometimes you should ask yourself to say, okay, why do we buy, let's say, fuel from countries which are far away? Why do we buy fuel from countries, neighboring countries? You know, Angola, for example. Ask yourself all those questions. What contracts have we signed as a country? And how is it that we can get away from them? So those are the questions that we need to sign. We need to ask. The issues of IMF and World Bank, all of us have been very specific to say we don't want to get these loans. There are serious conditionalities there. So they give us deals or contracts whereby they want to enslave us. So if you're a Zambian leader today, you go into government and you're okay with going to the IMF, you're okay with the conditionalities that you're being given as a country, then there's a problem. Because number one, they'll tell you to say, remove the subsidies. What happened with the subsidies were removed in Zambia, you know? And we kept on saying, don't remove subsidies, don't do this. What are the conditions of the IMF? Yet again, they were telling us, no, the IMF has changed, okay? The IMF has changed. All those conditionalities that you're talking about, they have reformed. It's not like that. Until things were obvious to say this is what we signed to, it was already too late. So I am going to repeat. For me, in addition to what the two leaders have said, amongst the biggest problems that we have as a country is just simply not looking at certain contracts and conditions properly as politicians. We need to love this country. I think the Western countries love their countries better than we love our countries as Africans or as Zambians. No wonder we're so freely able to sign contracts which are very bad for our people, instead of ensuring that we do our best, that the people get the best from this country. We don't have any other Zambia apart from this one.
Very, very briefly, President Timboyela has reminded me of something I forgot when she talked about Ghana and the cocoa. There was a program I was watching just a few days ago of Ghana producing electric bicycles. And I was thinking to myself, we used to produce bicycles here in Zambia. And right now we're saying that we're going to be mining components for lithium batteries and so on. Those ones don't have that, and they're able to do that. We have not been advancing. What really hit me most is then the person who was talking about that said, we've got a lot of demand from countries all over Zambia, all over Africa, including, I remember he talked of Kenya, South Africa, and Zambia, a lot from Zambia. So, what? why couldn't we have advanced to where we are the ones producing and Ghana is the one getting from us? So those are the kind of things we need to do.
Okay. Can I know that you can I add to what Madam Imboyela was saying,
Please.
in terms of how we become enslaved. I just want to give one example of maize. Many years ago, our parents used to grow maize. Once the maize is grown, they dry it, they keep the best so that they can replant it the following year. No fertilizer, okay? So now what has happened is that these seed companies have come and they've brought maize that only grows once. So you plant it and you need fertilizer for it to do well. If you don't fertilize it, then it won't do well. So what does it do? Firstly, you've got to buy the seed, okay? And then you've got to buy the fertilizer. And next year, it's the same cycle. So you are now in a cycle. You are actually a slave to the seed companies. Whereas before, we used to grow our own maize, So the yield wasn't that much, but you were not spending this amounts of money that you spend to grow now. And they are doing this in everything. You've got all these huge companies, and they make sure that you become their slave. So we are not political slaves anymore, but we are economic slaves, we are seed slaves, we are all sorts of things. So we need to wake up. We need to uka, as the head, to zuha. Otherwise, we'll continue to be enslaved to these things. And we need to come up with solutions, alternative solutions to things like that.
Okay, thank you so much. At this point now, looking at time, I'm going to just invite a few callers to call through. The number is 0974347511. That is the number that gets you through to our studios. If you have a contribution, if you have a question actually to what we're actually discussing. We seem to have a caller right about now, so we're just going to listen and see what they have to say. Hello.
Hello?
Enshango, I'm just trying. Right in the way, Kitty.
Reketile tozichwanye mina.
Enisha.
Enshango. So if you also have questions or contributions, you can still call us on the numbers 0974347511, and we can just speak to more phone calls before we can actually move on into our discussion this evening. So the number is 0974347511. That is the line that gets you through to our station, and so you can be able to contribute to our conversation. Hello, good evening. Enshango, muska kalikuwa yalombo ano man. Woman kuli. Bolwinda kwasinanga enshango.
Kuma mulelele womwana mchembele kuli. Apanga final twalo. Boti hapo na ndingu kutoa bamu. Isini kulea na kuli. Au nyandisha kapana ile jwana na hayo na ikuwa alama kaboti. Sio na kuboyaka kwa mchembele. Niwasikie babanga wana go final.
Na sepa batereza betumezi masulubu.
Womwana mchembele muba mteto alokuli amfanya final kapela. Mwanamchembele abajua kieleza wakukupa. Kujuhele batu, baguni teka bagawinise, mwaba bakelabo na isi nyuwe na mwanamchembele.
Ulitumeza ulubida.
Kujuhele.
Okay, so we can just receive one more phone call before we can actually move on with our discussion this evening. So the number is 0974347511, and that is the line that gets you through to our studios. We seem to have one last caller just about now. Enshango. Mambo ano mani? Enshango, makuna fita makutene?
abantu
Mm.
akakasina nemafosisa
Enjangwe.
akunandiweza geti nakumaso akunapatisi nakumaso inele ziipezile katao tote vatomboka
Enjangwe.
ate wani moja yako nikuisa mutali mumwe tikunana nimumavozo vavataondikiwa ndaongenelei
That's what it is.
and
Enjangwe. Okay, so looking at time, that was our last caller for the evening. So, Wendy, would you need me to translate or kama mtu
Lutuleze zeneva swali kubwa kono mwende vabasikao twaki kiubo kateka mwakula tawaseza.
Okay, we need to make that whole. So for our first caller, actually, his concern was that what is the beauty of the alliance? Looking at the fact that you have also included the Patriotic Front into the alliance, they are part of the alliance. So what really is the beauty of the alliance? Looking at where we are actually coming from, looking at the history of the Patriotic Front, what are people to actually expect from the alliance itself? And so also. Some of the comments he just made were that so he does not necessarily see the beauty of the alliance. So for him, it's going to take, I'm not sure exactly what for him to actually cast a vote for the alliance. But so the main point was of that of the Patriotic Front to say what now is the beauty of the alliance, looking at the fact that you have included the Patriotic Front in it as well. And this also goes for our third caller as well. So this one just wants to know how the Patriotic Front is actually involved into the alliance, or how they actually found themselves being adopted into the alliance. And that is the concern, I believe, of the people that are actually calling. So on this, maybe I believe it's high time we actually talked about the alliance itself, how it was actually formed, why it was even formed, and how the other parties are also involved, just so they can understand and maybe clarify these questions or sentiments that they actually have. So I'm not sure if you want to take this one.
Okay, thank you very much. Woman Mchembere made one comment which I didn't know where he was taking it. Nevale kuti minamana amunani
Vice President.
Amunani Vice President. Just by coincidence, the person who actually has come with me on this tour is our Vice President. And I've just given a note that the gentleman who came, remember the one who was here, can you ask him to come in so that he can say hello to Woman If you could please ask him to come in so that he can come and say hello to Woman Moving to the other things.
The alliance.
Before, yes, the alliance. The alliance, like we stated earlier on, is the coming together of various parties. We started off, when we did announce there were 7 of us. Soon thereafter, we moved to 8. And now we've moved to 11. And currently, there are some people who have indicated that they also want to join us. So it is going to even grow further. There are people who haven't indicated they want to join, but who have also said they want to come to talk to us to understand more about the United Kwacha Alliance. So it's certainly something which is growing. What is making people interested in coming to join is because they've seen that we're a group of people who have the interest of Zambia at heart. That is what drives us. It is not that I want to be president, I must be president. President Kateka here is not in it because she wants to be president, she must be president. President Imbuela is not in there for that. And all of us recognize that our colleagues in this United Kwacha Alliance are capable of leading, and we are comfortable with any one of them being the leader, and we would support that leader.
Okay.
So we are in it for making a better Zambia. Okay. That's why we were willing to make that kind of sacrifice.
Okay.
So that answers as to why we've come together, to make it a better Zambia for people, and to ensure that the political field is not unnecessarily crowded. I have next to me our deputy president. He's probably wondering why we've called him in here. There was a caller who was saying that you don't even have a deputy president in the ULP.
So maybe just to satisfy the caller,
Just
introduce yourself,
yourself
and the position.
And your position, and to tell him that you're actually a real person and not a clone or anything like that.
Yes. Good evening. Thank you very much. I'm Saraka Sakola, a vice president for United Liberal Party. And actually, we are not, because a lot of people have been saying that we have not seen the vice president of the party, we have not seen the secretary general. If I told the people are able to go back into the archive, they'll be able to see the newspapers that was published by Zambia Daily Mail, where the president was unveiling the new names for the party. We have the secretary general, we have the chairperson for mobilization and strategy. We have also the provincial chairpersons in different provinces of this republic. Yes, so those that are saying it's just the only one, I think it's just a political marriage that they want to gain. Yes, we in the United Liberal Party, we are so united and the party is growing.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for that. All right, so maybe let me move to you, Madam Kateka also. So maybe you can just explain to the people, even though Mr. Scotta here has tried to actually, let the people know or in on what the alliance is all about. But so there's actually a concern here, especially that the Patriotic Front is part of the alliance as well. And so people are going back in history of what used to happen in the times of the Patriotic Front, and that is what they're worried about now, questioning the beauty of the alliance and why it's there altogether. So maybe you can take that one.
Okay, thank you so much for that question, and I think that it's a concern that people have and must be addressed. We've explained why we came together. We didn't come together in order to remove the current Republican president and the UPND. We came together because, you know what? The time has really come for us to stop sliding down. We've been backsliding since 1964. This country has not been moving forward. And the time has come when we can move forward. We've got the manpower, the brains, we've got the wealth, that God has given us in the country, but we don't seem to apply the way we think so that we actually sort out the problems for the Zambian people. So when the UPND came into power, we thought, okay, these guys are going to sort out our problems, and we have seen that hasn't happened, and we've said, you know what? So instead of looking at politics as usual, let's look at what solutions should we have for Zambia? What should we put in place so that Zambians begin to enjoy their wealth and to live a comfortable life? So our focus is to have solutions for this country. And then the reason we are fighting politically to get into office is because we can't put our ideas into gear unless we are sitting in government. You see what I mean?
Right.
We have to sit in government, hence we need to get into government. Now, the involvement of the PF and President Lungu. Now, when you look at the way the political parties are so divided, there's not a single political party that can win an election, including the UPND, unless they go into some form of alliance. And that's why people go into alliances. As a matter of fact, when you look back in history, the history of Zambia, all parties that came into government possibly with the exception of the PF, formed one alliance or another, including UNIP, including MMD. Maybe not PF, but definitely the UPND. So, recognizing that it's so important that we get into government, we decided let's get together. Now, the PF have got the largest number of supporters. If you leave them out, then we would have a 3-horse race. We would have UPND, PF separate, and ourselves separate, and we won't win the election. It means we'll continue the way we are. And continuing along this trajectory is not an option for Zambians because they are starving. We have to do something, you know. So PF has been included in this. Now, why are we okay with it? Because our decision as the alliance partners is that each president has got a say. You know, so whether you have half a member or you have a million members, you still have the one say. So when we are making decisions, we don't make those decisions based on whether you are PF with a million members or you are XYZ party with half a member. No, your vote counts for one. So the PF doesn't have a say more than anyone else. Do you see what I'm saying? So what people are worried about is that the PF is coming back. No, the PF is not coming back through UKA. The PF is a member of UKA, including 10 other political parties. Yeah.
And maybe let me just add to that. The beauty about UKA is that it is sort of like a distilling or cleansing process for all of the various parties. There isn't any single party which is all good or all bad. There's some good and some bad in each and every party. I'll use myself as an example. When discussing with my friends, they've been able to see some faults which need changing, which when I was just by myself, I didn't see. And because, like President Kateka was saying, we are all equals, they are able to tell me that, no, President Saki, that is not correct, that you shouldn't do, and so on. And that helps me to become a better person. I'm sure that even the others have found that by being in UKA, there is been a refining and process for them. So equally, even with PF, they are also, I'm sure, finding that being with UKA is a refining process. There is a saying which says, because we are all exchanging new ideas and so on with each other, there is a saying which says, your mind, once stretched by a new idea, will never regain its original dimensions. So with all of us, we're being given new dimensions. We are becoming new and better.
Okay, that is very great. Looking at the fact that we're actually almost out of time, President Imbola, I want to conclude with you your response to our callers.
Okay, I wanted to say that most countries and presidents, right, when they leave office, they have universities. President Chiluba wanted to do that, you know, the Democratic Institute, where our kids right now sit. It was supposed to be a Democratic Institute to teach politics, you know, because presidents going to office, normally they've not been a president before, it's the first time they're doing that. So they come out very experienced. We are very lucky as UKA that we sit with President Lungu. President Lungu and the PF are not a disadvantage or a minus to UKA, but a great advantage. Do you know that there are certain things whereby when we sit in the Council of Presidents meetings, we ask President Lungu to say, okay, here, why did you do this? And he opens up so freely, you know. And there's a joke like that he likes to say, I don't know what's wrong with that seat. So whoever goes there, let's ensure that the person is able to do ABCD, ABCD. You get the point? So with him, there are experiences that he knows that here I made a mistake, here I did right. So how do I do that? So the fact that our Zambian presidents have not really been making universities or whatever, now there's a university through UKA, where all that experience, the good and bad, we're able to learn. And also like what President Sakuma Scotta said, as UKA presidents, we are very, very fortunate because we treat each other as equals. So when we have those meetings, and we do have a very tough chair, by the way, you know, because all of us are ever talking, you know, politicians love to talk about, we're ever talking, but it always has that tough time to keep the meeting in order. And sometimes the reason why it has to have that tough time because of so many experiences. This one is talking about this one is talking about that. So you have to make sure that you don't get out of the way. So just to overemphasize that, the PF has got CPC, now 58 members of parliament. You cannot move from having 0 MPs to winning a power. Yeah, that's a joke. The PF is an immediate past political party. They do have the structures, the membership, and all those things. And especially now, when we have the UPND that has really gone after institutions of democracy, if you look at the ECZ, the police, the courts in certain instances, there's so much which is happening right now, and the PF has been under attack. So if a big party like the PF is under such attack, it means everybody else is not safe. Are you getting the point? Right. So we need to come together as opposition in this country and do the right thing for the country, because yet again, I've been talking, you know, I'm emphasizing this because I don't want somebody who saw me last week or the other week say, she's repeating the same things, but I'm talking to a different audience right now, okay? If you look at the world right now, most countries now, it's not only Zambia, it's impossible to win elections alone, okay? We saw the elections in Kenya. Them now, they even have alliances. So if it was in Kenya right now, and Zambia also does have that option, apart from UKA, there should even be other alliances. So that come 2026, you look at, okay, so which alliance can come together, which alliance, or they go in a separate alliances like that. Look at the Grand Coalition even in Germany. So it's not only in Africa, it's worldwide. So people of like minds have to come together. And political parties, by the way, if you look at our constitutions, NDC does have that, whereby it's a clause which advises the president to actually form alliances with like-minded organizations. Are you getting the point? So it's very, very important that we come up with a list of people that we think we can move in a certain direction and do certain things. So to cut the long story short, and to repeat to my brother or my uncle ever that I called, the PF could have done wrong things and bad things. It's about looking at the right things and building on that, and the wrong things, I said, here you went wrong. For example, under President Lungu, the issue of the Barotse question never arose. Do you know that? Under RB it arose, under President Sata it arose, and that's even the reason why Barotse land was not in good books with the PF, because of certain things that the first president of the PF did. But under President Lungu, and we asked him in the Council of Presidents questions to say, how did you manage, Mr. President? And I remember the other time I asked, that time it was President Kanabo was asking him, how did you manage? And he clearly said it's about dialogue, it's about this, it's about, and he gave us those strategies. The UPND is in government right now. I remember the last time we appeared, I think it was on Radio Listen itself, there was one caller who said, hey, church, he didn't know say that they are one. It also means honey, by the way. HH is our honey. Now it's no longer Mundami. You know, so, you know, to the point whereby if you look at what has happened at this very Kuomboka, you can see that the Inosi of some people has become Mundami. You get the point? Why? Because he messed up with certain things. Why? Because experience is important. Some people even look at experience in this country. So, Eric, psycho politicians. There's no such a thing. Like one African proverb yet again says, what an old man can see sitting down, a young man can see standing up. So let's respect experience. Let's respect also fresh brains, fresh ideas. So the PF is an added advantage to UKA. And if he says he can't vote for UKA because the PF is part of it, then he's just not being honest. To me, I can even take it. It's just UPND trying to mislead us. And we shall not be misled. Because the Zambians are suffering. Even fishermen are suffering. I was very shocked today when we were coming from Nipulunga that the fishermen are suffering. You get the point? So if a person who goes to catch fish, there's no electricity there, there's no whatever, there are issues. What are the other people that have to depend on electricity and other things for their businesses? So let's come together. PF made their mistakes, which UPND sadly is repeating all the mistakes of the PF. The right things, they throw them away. It's supposed to be the opposite. The wrong things, you throw them away. The right things, you build on them. But UPND, all the wrong things they're doing, they'll tell you, PF was doing it also. Yes, they're doing it, so people voted them out. And they learned their lessons. And through UKA now, we're coming together and saying, PF, what did you do wrong? And why did you do this? And they tell us in these meetings to say, okay, here maybe we didn't. I just understand the situation better. But if we're to do it like this, let's do it like that. And that's the way to go, really.
All right, thank you so much. Unfortunately, we are out of time, and this is all we have to close our interview for the evening. But before we can actually go, as your last points, Mr. Scott, so looking at the fact that we haven't really talked much about the alliance, so I want to ask, as the chairman of the UKA Alliance, what you intend on doing on making the people here, especially in Western Province, accept and understand what the alliance is all about.
I think that what we'll be doing is giving solutions for the various problems that are there. I did touch a little on it when I talked about making sure that even in agricultural policies, we look at what advantages there are here in terms of agriculture, and to ensure that we enhance that, we bring in the necessary expertise to teach people, have outgrower schemes for certain things, learn from the mistakes which were there with the cashew nut industry, and make sure that we do not fall into those mistakes, but perfect new things that we'll be bringing in. Apart from that, there are other issues such as tourism, which can be enhanced even here in Western Province. We've got good wildlife, we've got good fishing. We can have commercial fishing of international commercial sporting fishing rather, which brings in a lot of money. We do have minerals here that can also be looked at. We have sand here. Sand is not just a useless thing. Sand actually, even in the building industry, can be used and so on. So we need to be innovative in the way that we look at enhancing the things that can be done here. We need to do things like open up because we need to be able to be exporting and importing through our country from countries such as Angola and the ports in Angola. So to create the railway lines that will go through here, and that will help to enhance the economy here. That railway line would go right through to other places like Lusaka and so forth. That in itself will bring a lot of change to this area. So there is a lot that we must do for Barotseland. We have to also, like in all other areas, look at devolving power, devolving the decision making. That's not just for Barotseland, for everywhere in Zambia. If you look at what the Chaita Tundu are asking for, it is to have more say in their own affairs. If you look at the Kola Foundation, what are they complaining about? They want more say in their own affairs. The people in Eastern Province, Umuskumawa, what are they saying? They want more say about their economy and their lives. So that is something that we need to bring, not only to Barotseland, but to all of Zambia. And that will bring about a greater peace and so forth.
All right, thank you so much. Madam Kateka, maybe under a minute, your very last remarks.
I just want to encourage the people of Barotseland and Zambia at large that we've only got one country, and the time has surely come when we find solutions together. Don't leave everything to politicians. I know politicians, I'm one, but everyone has got part of the solution, and when you have good ideas, please get in touch. Please don't just sit on those good ideas, but share them, because that might just be the answer that we are looking for. So we must hold hands and work together. And it's not about one person who will save this nation. It's all of us working together. Thank you.
Wow, wonderful. Thank you so much. Madam Ingo, let me conclude with you. Your very last remarks.
Well, I think we've said it all, and we've said it all. And let's just unite and ensure that we prioritize Zambia. We have one country, and the reason why everything has been coming up the way it's coming up is because of disrespecting people. It's because of lack of development, because of all those things. So once we put our heads together, the way UKAs come together to say, let's unite and develop this country, I think we're going to see a better Zambia.
20-second last word. Today is a happy day. It's a celebration. Maybe you could turn us out by playing us a song. So I got a request that you play us out with a song. We've given you a song. You could play that for us, please.
I'm just going to do that. I will do that. Thank you so much. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for coming through to the program.
Thank you
It's been a
so
great pleasure
much.
to host you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Karen.
So there you have it, our dear listeners. We are just having this special radio interview right about now with the United Kwacha Alliance, best known as UKA Alliance. And so I was actually having a discussion where we were looking at issues affecting the nation, and especially with the UKA Alliance, focusing on change and bringing about solutions. So my guests in studio this evening, I was talking to Mr. Sakwi